I first learned about the play when I was reading a book that was by the director of the original English language production, Stephen Unwin. I knew very early on that we wanted to do a new version of it, a new translation, and I wanted that to be from the point of view of a woman as well. I felt that this was going to be a very physical piece. Having seen quite a lot of the work that Scott had done with Frantic Assembly, and Margaret Ann had been in Beautiful Burnout as well, it felt like it was a very, very good fit.
I didn't actually know the play. For me, it was very much tapping into Bruce and Maggie's enthusiasm. I was excited about what we could all bring together, but I was coming into it with completely open eyes, really.
Because the piece is 27 scenes, and they're essentially the 27 individual plays, because they're as different to her as her memories are, and as her experiences are, as she is at those different points in her life.
That's making theatre at its most exciting, when you actually come into a room and nobody is absolutely sure of the answers. You're just looking at each other, knowing at least I'm in a room with brilliant people, and between us, we're going to come up with an answer that I couldn't think of on my own.
You have to be able to trust people to be able to tell you something that you might not necessarily want to hear.
I think Ella is a fascinating character. She obviously has a fascinating story. It's epic. She is... she's Tiresias. She has been man, she's been woman, and seen the world from those perspectives. That's very rare. She also lived through an incredibly turbulent time in European history. But what I found really fascinating about her was to picture her now living in some broken down flat in Berlin or anywhere in Germany or anywhere across Europe, and think that there's probably hundreds and thousands of Ellas, people with incredible stories, old people sitting in these houses, and you just don't know. You could be sitting next door to someone, and these stories are dying out. She tells her story through fragments. As an audience member, I think we naturally want to put those fragments together. It makes her intriguing. Yeah. And it's this shattered mind, these shattered memories. That tells me that we're looking at somebody who knows more than they're saying. That's why I think her physicality is so important, because that's how we betray ourselves. We say one thing, but our body says another.
The German writer talked a lot about being influenced a bit by the Grimm fairy tales, and there is a thread of that going through it, as well as quotes from German literature, which she has magpied as a character. There's a reason that it's been translated into 30 different languages, and gets performed constantly around the world. We've thrown a lot into this. We've thrown as much into it as we feel that the text needs, and that the text can absolutely take that.
Yeah, the walls of her room are dripping with these memories and these experiences. And she might tell you that it was something that happened a long time ago, but actually they happened in that moment.
It's been a privilege to direct something here at Wales Millennium Centre, because we're the first piece that they have produced. We had such a brilliant time making the show here. We were very well supported. The facilities here are fantastic. And they have got ambition to take this kind of work further. The theatre scene in Wales and in Cardiff is really becoming incredibly lively, and that there's a buzz about it, and that the standard of the work is becoming very, very high. Well, one of the great things when we were first making the show in March was that the setup allowed us to be in a position where we could respond to the work that Maggie was doing. Andre and I and Scott had a conversation quite early on about shadows, and I'm a big fan of German expressionistic cinema, which kind of led to film noir, which led to Tim Burton type aesthetic, shadowy, moody, beautiful, but a little bit spooky. And I felt that those were tones that I wanted to use within the production.
I think Maggie Ann Bain's been on an incredible journey with this piece. I mean, she starts off being outnumbered performer to director 2-1, and gets twice as many notes, and they're all for her. And what was absolutely extraordinary was the generosity with which Maggie took that on board.
Well, you've been to Edinburgh a few times, but with shows, but yeah. For me, this is the first time that I've been up there for 11 years.
It's a very important place to go. It's an incredible showcase for the work, especially internationally. It's a difficult text, but actually Maggie brings it alive, and it's a very, very human performance.
Yeah.
And even though the poetry is sometimes out there and jagged and fractured, there's still a very real human being at the heart of that, and that's what makes it so exciting. And I think that's why I'm confident it's going to find an audience.